My girlfriend told me she was with a friend, but that friend was with me, picking out an engagement ring. I was standing in the jewelry shop, holding the small velvet box in my hand, trying to imagine her face when I opened it. My heart was pounding with excitement. Beside me was her best friend, the very one she always said she trusted with everything. She had agreed to help me pick out the perfect ring for my girlfriend, and honestly, I felt lucky to have someone who knew her taste better than I ever could. And then my phone buzzed. It was a text from my girlfriend. "Hey babe, I'm hanging out with," friend's name, "tonight. Don't wait up." I froze. My hand went cold around the ring box. I looked at the friend who was literally standing next to me, pointing at another display case. My mind spun in circles, confusion mixing with dread. If she wasn't with her best friend, then where was she? I didn't say a word. I just put the phone back in my pocket, forcing my face into a smile, though my stomach was burning. My girlfriend had just lied to me, and not just any lie. It was one that didn't make sense, one that left too many dark possibilities hanging in the air. That night, I couldn't even look at the ring. I sat in my car staring at her message again and again, asking myself, why would she lie? What could she possibly be doing that required using her best friend as a cover? And the worst part? I couldn't even confront her without exposing what I was planning. I wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation, but then the next morning, something happened that made my chest tighten even more. She walked into the kitchen, smiling like nothing was wrong, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Last night was fun. We should all hang out together sometime." She didn't know that I knew. And in that exact moment, with her pouring coffee like everything was normal, I realized I was about to step into a nightmare I wasn't ready for. It all started a few months ago when I had made up my mind. I wanted to marry her. She was everything I had dreamed of. Funny, smart, beautiful in ways that went beyond looks. We had been together for 3 years, and I felt ready to take the next step. I started saving, quietly planning, and when the time came, I reached out to her best friend to help me pick the ring. That's why the lie cut so deep. We were happy, or at least I thought we were. We had our normal little disagreements, but nothing out of the ordinary. She laughed at my dumb jokes, she stayed up late with me watching movies, she held my hand in public like we were teenagers. Everything felt solid. So when I got that text in the jewelry store, it didn't just feel like a random white lie. It felt calculated. I kept replaying all the nights she told me she was busy with a friend, all the time she had plans I wasn't invited to. Suddenly, they all looked different in my memory. That night, after she kissed me and walked away like nothing happened, I made a choice. I wasn't going to let it slide. I wasn't going to accuse her right away either. If she had secrets, I was going to find them. The first step I took was subtle. I asked her casually about her evening, pretending to be interested. She didn't hesitate. She told me they had grabbed food, laughed about something silly, even gave me tiny details that sounded rehearsed. I nodded, smiled, and kept my thoughts to myself. But deep down, my heart was cracking. And by the end of that week, I stumbled into something that changed everything again. Because one of those friend nights didn't go the way she planned. It was a Thursday evening when she told me again, "I'm going to hang out with," friend's name, "don't wait up." My stomach tightened, but I kept my face blank. I nodded, kissed her goodbye, and watched her leave the apartment. This time, I didn't sit around second-guessing myself. I grabbed my keys, waited about 15 minutes, and then slipped out behind her. I wasn't proud of it. Following her felt like crossing a line, but the thought of proposing to someone who might be lying straight to my face burned worse than any guilt. Her friend texted me that same night about a work thing completely unrelated, so I knew for certain she wasn't with her. My pulse was loud in my ears as I trailed my girlfriend's car a few streets behind. She drove across town, not towards her friend's neighborhood, but to a part of the city where we never usually went. Finally, she pulled into a quiet parking lot near a low-lit restaurant. I killed my engine a block away and walked carefully, heart hammering so hard that it made my vision blur. She got out of the car, smoothed her hair, checked her phone, and then a man walked up. He wasn't just some stranger either. He hugged her. She hugged him back. Too long, too close. I felt my body go cold, like my veins were filled with ice instead of blood. I wanted to storm across the lot and demand answers, scream, throw the ring box at her feet. But instead, I froze in the shadows, rooted to the ground, watching them walk inside together like they'd done this before. I don't even remember the drive home. I just remember gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, fighting every instinct in my body not to cry, not to rage, not to call her right then and there. She didn't get home until after midnight. She slipped into bed smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't hers, whispering, "Hey babe, you awake?" like nothing was wrong. I lay there, silent, eyes wide open in the dark, knowing everything was wrong. The next morning, she hummed while making breakfast, scrolling her phone like her world was fine. I kept staring at her, my chest so tight it hurt. She smiled at me like she was my forever. And that's when it hit me. She didn't know that I seen. She didn't know that I had proof. I decided then I wasn't going to confront her yet. Not until I understood everything. Who he was, how long it had been going on, why she felt the need to lie about being with her friend. I wasn't going to tip my hand until I had no doubts left. So I started paying closer attention, checking little details, watching her routines, and that's when I found the first real crack in her story, something that confirmed my worst fears. It was her phone. It started with small things. Her setting her phone face down on the table, leaving the room to take calls, or getting a little too jumpy when a notification buzzed. I never used to notice those habits, but now every move felt like a clue. One night, she left her phone charging on the counter while she showered. I stared at it from across the room, my heart thumping so hard it made my chest ache. I knew going through her phone was wrong. I knew it crossed a boundary I could never undo. But she had already crossed one first. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. The lock screen lit up with a string of messages from an unsaved number. The preview showed just enough to turn my stomach. Last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you. When's the next time you can get away? The words blurred in front of me. I wanted to smash the phone against the wall. Instead, I unlocked it with the code I knew by heart, her birthday, and scrolled. The conversation thread was long. Weeks of messages, inside jokes, late-night confessions, plans made and kept. My girlfriend wasn't just lying. She wasn't just sneaking around. She was building something intimate with someone else while I was out planning to give her a ring. The part that cut the deepest was seeing her write things she used to say to me. Things like, "You make me feel alive," and "I don't know what I'd do without you." It was like I was reading a script of our relationship, only now she was performing it for someone else. And then I saw the name saved at the top of the thread. It wasn't just some random guy. It wasn't even an ex. It was someone she had once told me not to worry about. A coworker. I felt the air leave my lungs. That night in the parking lot suddenly made sense. The secrecy. The lies about her best friend. The way she smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I put the phone down right before I heard the water shut off in the bathroom. I rushed back to the couch, turned on the TV, and sat there trying to breathe normally. She walked out in her pajamas, hair damp and curled up next to me like she hadn't just destroyed my world behind my back. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront her, but I kept my silence. For one reason only. I wanted to see how far she would take this lie. The next weekend she told me again she was with her friend. I already knew where she was going. My chest tightened, but I let her walk out the door. This time though, I decided I wouldn't just follow from a distance. I was going to see it up close. That Saturday night, I waited 10 minutes after she left before I slipped out and followed her car again. My hands were trembling against the steering wheel, not from nerves this time, but from the quiet fury boiling in my chest. This wasn't about suspicion anymore. I already knew the truth. This was about confirmation, about looking it in the face with no room left for excuses. She drove to the same restaurant as before, only this time, instead of staying hidden in the shadows, I parked close enough to see them through the windows once they sat down. There she was, my girlfriend, laughing, reaching across the table, her hand brushing his like it was second nature. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. Her body language said everything her text had already. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned bone white. I wanted to storm inside, slam the ring box down between them, and expose her for the liar she was. My mind replayed the proposal I had planned, the candles, the speech, the smile I thought she'd give me, and then it twisted, warping into the image in front of me, her smiling at him instead. But I didn't move, not yet. Something in me told me to wait, to watch, to let her hang herself with her own lies. And then the moment that cracked me open happened. When the waiter brought the check, she leaned in close to him and kissed him. Not a friendly peck, not something I could pretend to misunderstand. It was a kiss that belonged to lovers, not to people sneaking around for fun. That is when I felt the spiral begin. The line between rage and heartbreak blurred. My chest hurt so badly I thought I might be sick. I started the car, backed out of the lot, and drove aimlessly for hours, my mind spinning in endless circles. When I got home, she was already there, curled up on the couch in sweatpants, acting like she'd just spent the night watching movies with her friend. She asked me about my evening, eyes calm, voice steady. She had no idea I had seen everything. Something in me snapped right then. I walked past her, without answering, straight into the bedroom, and shut the door. Her silence scared me more than words ever could. She followed me, asked what was wrong, pressed me for answers, but I couldn't speak, because if I did, I'd explode. I lay awake all night, staring at the ceiling, the ring box hidden in the door beside me. That ring had been meant to symbolize a future. Now it felt like a joke. The next morning, she was quieter. She didn't push. She just made breakfast and moved through the house like she could sense something had shifted. Like she could feel the walls closing in, but she didn't know why. And that's when I decided. The next time she lied to my face, I wasn't just going to watch. I wasn't going to stay silent. I was going to tear the mask off right then and there. It happened faster than I expected. She told me on a Wednesday evening, casual as anything, that she was meeting up with her friend again. The words came out so smooth, so ordinary, like she had rehearsed them 100 times before. I looked her dead in the eye and just nodded. My heart was pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm. This time, though, I didn't follow her in secret. I drove straight to the restaurant, walked through the front doors, and scanned the room until I saw them. There she was, sitting at the same table, leaning toward him with that soft smile that used to be mine. His hand was on hers, and they were so lost in each other they didn't even notice me at first, until I walked right up to the table. Her head snapped up, eyes wide. She stammered my name, her face draining of color, while his hand slid away like he'd just been burned. The silence around us grew heavy as a few nearby tables turned to look. I didn't shout. I didn't scream. My voice came out steady, almost too calm, as I pulled the small velvet box from my pocket and set it between them. Her eyes locked on it, confusion flickering for just a second until I flipped it open. The diamond caught the dim restaurant light. Gasps rose from the tables around us, as though they thought they were about to witness a proposal. But the way my girlfriend's face crumpled told the real story. "That ring," I said, my voice low but sharp enough to cut glass, "was meant for you." Her lips parted, but no words came out. She looked at me, then at him, then back at me, horror dawning in her eyes. "And while I was picking it out," I continued, my hands trembling, "you were lying about being with your friend while you were with him instead." The man shifted uncomfortably, muttering something under his breath, but I didn't even glance at him. All my focus was on her. "You could have just told me you didn't want this anymore, but instead you smiled in my face while you built another life behind my back." The entire restaurant was silent now, every pair of eyes drilling into us. She reached across the table, tears filling her eyes, whispering, "Please, not here. Can we talk about this somewhere else?" But I stepped back, shaking my head. My chest felt like it was splitting open, but I forced the words out anyway. "There's nothing else to talk about. You made your choice, and now, so have I." I closed the ring box, left it on the table, and turned to walk away. Behind me, her voice cracked, calling my name, begging me to stop. But I didn't. Not this time. I walked out into the night, the weight of everything crashing down on me at once. My future, my trust, my plans, all shattered. But at least I wasn't living in the dark anymore. At least I finally knew the truth. A week later, I got a text from her. Just one line. "I should have told you I'm pregnant." No name, no explanation. Just those words. And the worst part? I have no idea if the baby's mine or his.